Hey there, friends and enemies, Joker here again, and today I want to talk about the new World Aeturnum beta and upcoming full release, as it has been incredibly divisive online, and I really understand each side and why they may or may not like some of the changes going forward. Now, to understand why this is happening, you have to know that New World had an incredible launch, a ton of people, and a lot of excitement. However, they were unable to sustain this long term because a lot of their systems were not fully prepared for how many people would be playing. There were some faction systems that were almost cheesable. The PvP sounded really awesome, but in execution had a lot of issues, and ultimately the game really struggled under the weight of expectations and their ability to not only balance the game over the long haul but also put out new content. So you have players who have put in thousands of hours potentially into this game who are incredibly frustrated because with the Aeturnum update, there is a change of direction, but also not the new content that a lot of them were hoping for. But is that a bad thing? I don't necessarily think so. And the reason for that is because of what they've done with Aeturnum and what they are doing with the game going forward. So first and foremost, you have this update launching on consoles, which is opening up a much wider potential player base. And I say that because consoles don't have a lot of competition as you might find on PC with MMOs. And the changes to the Aeturnum update for New World means it's more of a single player experience with MMO elements rather than anything you have to play with other players all the time. And so because of that, you can jump in on console. The controls feel really good. The new campaign feels quite interesting overall, and there is a bit more excitement when you first launch it. So I think a lot of people who are jumping in for the first time are like, wow, this is really cool, really exciting. They're seeing all this new stuff. You can't do that if you're a veteran player unless you create a brand new character. And not only that, but they've gone away from some of these systems they previously had in place, which players who originally saw the vision for New World thought would absolutely take this game to different levels. And the reason they've gone away from it, the hardcore player base has moved back to their traditional MMOs that they play, whether it's World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV, whatever the case may be. And so in order to keep this game sustained over the long haul, you need a casual player base as well. And that is something that has been lacking with this game. They didn't have the diehards who will play this game regardless, because on PC you have so many other options. And one of the problems for New World Aeturnum is that Throne and Liberty is also launching on PC and console roughly around the same time. Plus, Throne and Liberty will be a at-cost MMO right from the very beginning. You'll have to pay in order to play you have to pay the normal amount for a game in order to play when it does drop, whereas Throne and Liberty will be free with some early access things and other ways to monetize that are different from a traditional paid game. So that situation might find Throne and Liberty or New World Aeturnum in some problems as well, because you do have this comparison. But at the end of the day, I think I see why New World is very appealing for new players. The combat feels very nice. The game looks incredible. It is a unique concept for an MMO with the themes that they have going on as well. And I do feel like if they move away from focusing on PvP and give us more in-depth PvE experiences, that old returning players will be happy eventually as well. This update is not for the veteran players, and that's okay. This is for the new and console players to generate a healthy player base, to generate the revenue, so hopefully they can play and update, not play the game, but the developers can update the game long term. We'll get additional content in the future. The problem for veteran players is there have been promises broken over the course of time. There have been times where they've said that they were going to deliver on things that they just haven't been able to do so. And so this does feel like it could potentially be another cash grab, as if the game isn't successful on console and with new players, then now you've essentially wasted all this time, and they probably won't be able to provide additional content in the future, even though they have all these things potentially in the pipeline. And that's really the issue that veteran players are facing. You have a brand new game like Throne and Liberty dropping. You have other MMO options, especially on PC, to really play and dive into that you know will be getting future updates, versus New World, which is getting this Aeturnum update, but isn't providing really a lot of new content for veteran players. And also you have promises broken in the past, and it's just leading to a tricky situation where I don't know if they'll generate enough new players from the console release and from this update in order to maintain the player base needed, the revenue needed to generate more content and keep this game going long term. I hope it's successful personally, because the more competition we have in the space, the better. And I do feel like there is a niche for this game that could be really cool. The combat feels different from a lot of other options, especially with regards to the era, the melee weapons, but also the guns are really, really cool. And the classes, I think, are different than your traditional, like, tank, mage, healer, like that kind of stuff. They have different weapon archetypes that I think are a lot of fun. And so because of that, there is room for this game to be successful. I jumped in the beta and I had some fun myself. And at the end of the day, I do think there is potential for this game to be good and fun, but I don't know if it will be successful. And that's the risk right now, is if they put all this time, energy, and resources into the Aeturnum update and it doesn't succeed, they are now looking at the game potentially being shut down sooner rather than later. And that's where I believe the anxiety and angst comes from the veteran player base. Whereas if you're somebody jumping into this game for the first time, if you're looking to play it on console, it is very exciting because of just the idea that all these people who are sick of the game spent thousands of hours means there's enough content there to sustain yourself for quite some time before you also eventually get sick of it. So that's the juxtaposition. That's where there is that line between if you've played the game versus if you haven't, and why when I made the comparison previously with Throne and Liberty and New World, it was heavily in favor of Throne and Liberty, but I do feel like that's probably because it is the majority of the PC player base responding, people who have already sunk a lot of time into New World. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is that something that makes sense to you? Will you be playing either Throne and Liberty or New World Aeturnum when it does drop? Are you a veteran New World player who's sick of it? Are you a New World player who's excited? Let me know in the comments down below. My name is Jopa. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.